You sit in front of the screen, the charts flicker, candles form, melt, reform. You've studied the setup, back-tested the system, refined your risk management, but when it's time to click, you freeze. Or worse, you click, but not from your plan. You click from fear, from pride, from the desperate hunger to be right. And when the trade's over, you don't feel smarter, you feel smaller. According to research from Critic, 80% of day traders quit within the first 2 years. And studies from quantified strategies show that 70 to 90% of traders lose money. Not because of bad strategies, not because of market manipulation, but because of psychology. You're not losing because of your strategy. You're losing because of a part of you that shows up uninvited every single time you place a trade. What if I told you, you're not trading the market at all? You're trading the part of yourself that's pretending to be in control. The version of you that wears a mask, sometimes confident, sometimes analytical, sometimes calm, but always performing, always protecting something deeper. And the worst part, you don't even know you're wearing it. Welcome to Trading Psychology Stick, where we dive deep into the mind behind the trades. Everything I share comes from years of studying performance psychology, behavioral finance research, and working with real traders. This isn't financial advice. Data is based on general research. Results vary individually. It's an exploration of the human element in trading. Remember, while psychology is 80% of the game, a solid tested strategy is the essential foundation before addressing these masks. In this video, you'll discover the 7 masks that silently sabotage your trades. These aren't just random patterns. They're based on documented psychological biases that neuroscience and behavioral economics have proven affect decision-making under pressure. The masks that whisper when you hesitate, shout when you revenge trade, and vanish when you finally break. Mark Douglas, author of Trading in the Zone, said it best. Trading is 80% psychological and 20% methodological. Today we're diving into that 80% that nobody talks about. Because trading isn't about being smarter, it's about being truer. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll see why the final step to becoming an unshakable trader has nothing to do with charts and everything to do with what's hiding behind your eyes. So, are you ready to remove the mask? Because the arena is waiting. Mask 1. The mirror trade. She thought she was trading EUR USD, support and resistance, moving averages, price action. But as she scrolled through 6 months of trade journals, something disturbing emerged. She wasn't documenting market behavior, she was documenting herself. Every entry told the same story. Felt uncertain about this one. Jumped in because I missed the last setup. Exited early, something felt off. Held too long trying to prove I was right. The patterns in her journal had nothing to do with patterns on the chart. They had everything to do with patterns in her mind. This is the mirror trade. The most important mask to understand, because it reveals all the others. It shows you that every position you take is actually a reflection of your internal position. Every click broadcasts your current emotional state into the market. Daniel Kahneman's research on projection bias shows we consistently project our current emotional state onto future decisions. In trading, this means we're not seeing the market. We're seeing ourselves reflected in price action. Think about it. 2 traders see the exact same setup. Same chart, same indicators, same everything. One takes it confidently and manages it to target. The other hesitates, enters late, and exits on the first pullback. The difference isn't in what they saw, it's in who was looking. The market is neutral. It's a blank canvas that moves according to collective behavior, not personal vendetta. But we don't experience it as neutral. We experience it through the lens of our fears, hopes, wounds, and beliefs. We project meaning onto every candle. We see rejection where there's just movement. We feel targeted when we're just participating. I worked with a professional trader who revolutionized her results with one simple change. Results vary, but awareness was key. Instead of journaling what the market did, she journaled what she felt. Not EUR USD broke support, but I felt anxious and wanted certainty. Not stop loss hit, but I felt ashamed and wanted to hide. Within 2 weeks, the pattern was obvious. Her losers weren't bad trades. They were emotional reactions dressed up as trades. Her winners weren't good analysis. They were moments of inner clarity that happened to align with market movement. She started asking herself, before each trade, what am I really trading right now? The setup or my need to be right? the pattern or my fear of missing out, the market or my mood. Quick implementation. For your next 10 trades, add one line to your journal. I'm really trading my need to. Complete that sentence honestly. Need to be right, need to make money, need to prove something, need to avoid pain. Then use any free AI tool like Grok to analyze your journal for emotional patterns, not just trade patterns. Prompt it. Fan teach emotional patterns to entries nigh. This is 2025. Use technology to decode your psychology. Take a breath here. What we just uncovered might feel uncomfortable. If you recognize yourself in these patterns, you're already ahead of 90% of traders who never look in the mirror. Here's the neuroscience behind it. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, can't tell the difference between a financial loss and a physical threat. So, when you see red candles, your brain literally thinks you're in danger. No wonder we project so much onto neutral price movement. Your biggest losses? Look deeper. They're probably moments when your internal state was chaotic, fearful, or desperate. Your best trades? They likely came from a place of clarity, acceptance, and flow. The market didn't change. You did. This is why two traders can take the exact same setup and get opposite results. One is trading from presence, the other is trading from pressure. One sees opportunity, the other sees threat. Same chart, different mirrors. Research from the University of California, Haas School, and the journal Nature shows that traders with high self-awareness through interoception tests have better profitability and survive longer in the market, with self-aware traders outperforming those less aware in returns and longevity, based on data from professional traders where awareness helps separate emotional noise from market signals. So, before you analyze another candlestick pattern, analyze the pattern of the person clicking the mouse. Because improving your strategy while ignoring your psychology is like sharpening a sword while your hand shakes. The tool isn't the problem, the trembling is. And once you see that every trade mirrors your state, you can't unsee it. You realize you've been fighting the wrong battle. You've been trying to master the market when you really needed to master the one watching it. But here's the thing, seeing the mirror is just the beginning. Because once you know you're trading your reflection, you'll meet the first mask everyone wears when they try to fight back against uncertainty. The mask of control. He had everything mapped out. Entry rules precise to the pip. Position sizing calculated to the decimal. Risk management tighter than a vault. He even had contingency plans for his contingency plans. On paper, he was prepared for everything, except for what happened next. The trade went live, price started moving, and suddenly all those plans felt like tissue paper in a hurricane. He watched the stop loss like it was a time bomb, adjusted it, tightened it, widened it, moved it again. His mouse hovered over the close button, ready to abort at the first sign of danger. He wasn't trading anymore. He was trying to control the uncontrollable. The mask of control is seductive because it promises safety. It whispers that if you just analyze a bit more, prepare a bit better, you can eliminate uncertainty. That somewhere out there is a system so perfect, a strategy so complete, that you'll never feel vulnerable again. As we'll see with the next mask, this need for safety often hides deeper fear. But here's what Ellen Langer's groundbreaking research on the illusion of control revealed. Humans consistently overestimate their ability to control random outcomes. In her famous experiment, people thought they could influence dice rolls just by throwing harder. Sound familiar? That's every trader who thinks they can will the market to move. Control is not power. Control is fear wearing a three-piece suit. According to data from Axiori, 90% of retail traders fail not because they lack strategy, but because they try to control outcomes instead of process. They're so busy trying to manage the unmanageable, they forget to manage the only thing they actually can, themselves. Real power in trading comes from something that sounds paradoxical: controlled abandonment, the ability to prepare thoroughly, then let go completely, to respect your plan while accepting you can't plan for everything, to manage risk without trying to manage reality. I once asked a consistently profitable trader about his secret. He laughed. I stopped trying to control what happens after I click. I can control my entry, my stop, my target. Everything else, that's between the market and the universe. Think about what we actually control in trading. Entry timing, yes. Position size, yes. Stop loss, yes. What happens next? Absolutely not. Yet we spend 90% of our emotional energy trying to influence that 10% we can't touch. Jared Tendler, who coached world-class poker players before moving to trading psychology, calls this the control paradox. The tighter you grip, the more you slip. Like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The very act of squeezing guarantees loss. One trader I coached had a breakthrough when she realized her need for control came from childhood. Growing up in chaos, planning became her armor. Preparation was how she survived. But markets aren't childhood. They don't care about your emotional armor. They move whether you're ready or not. She learned to separate preparation from control. Preparation is wise. Control is compulsive. Preparation says, I've done my best with what I can influence. Control says, I must influence everything, or I'm not safe. Quick implementation. Write down exactly what you can control in trading. Entry rules, position size, stop loss, target, time of day you trade. That's it. Everything else, market movement, news reactions, other traders' behavior, is outside your control. Now here's the twist. Create a surrender ritual. Before each trade, place your hands on your desk and say, I control my actions. The market controls the outcome. I'm at peace with both. Feel the resistance? That's your control mask fighting for survival. For example, use an app like Calm to track your ritual adherence over weeks and see patterns and reduce stress. If you're feeling uncomfortable right now, good. That discomfort is your control mask cracking. Most traders never get this far. They stay trapped in the illusion, exhausting themselves trying to arm wrestle randomness. Here's what neuroscience tells us. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and control, literally fatigues when overused. That's why over-controlling traders often make their worst decisions at the end of the day. They've depleted their mental resources trying to control the uncontrollable. Watch a professional trader during a position. They're calm, not because they know what will happen, but because they've accepted not knowing. They've made friends with uncertainty. They dance with chaos instead of trying to choreograph it. Your stop loss isn't there to control the market. It's there to free you from needing to. Your strategy isn't a leash for price. It's a framework for your decisions. The moment you understand this, trading becomes less exhausting. You stop fighting physics and start flowing with it. The control freak asks, how can I make this trade work? The professional asks, how can I work with whatever this trade brings? One leads to forced trades, moved stops, and emotional exhaustion. The other leads to consistent execution and inner peace. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Finance found that traders who scored high on need for control metrics had 31% larger drawdowns than those comfortable with uncertainty. The market rewards flexibility, not rigidity. So next time you feel that familiar tightness, that need to micromanage every tick, ask yourself, what am I really trying to control, the trade or my fear of uncertainty? Because the moment you stop needing control, you start accessing real power. The power to act with clarity regardless of outcome. The power to trust your preparation without attachment to results. The power to be wrong without being broken. But letting go of control reveals something else. Something that's been hiding underneath all that planning and preparing. The very thing control was designed to protect you from. Fear itself. Mask 3, the mask of fear. She stared at the setup. Everything aligned, the trend was clear, support held perfectly. Volume confirmed. Her rules said, enter. Her gut said, run. This wasn't her first time at this crossroads. It was her 100th. And like clockwork, she did what she always did. She waited, watched, analyzed some more. By the time she finally convinced herself to enter, price had already moved 30 pips. Now the risk-reward was ruined, so she passed. Again. Research from Dr. Brett Steenbarger and sources like Investopedia shows that fear-based hesitation is a primary cause of missed profitable trades, often leading to overanalysis, indecision, and avoidance of setups, a common issue affecting 60 to 70% of new traders. For example, in bear markets, fear morphs into panic, causing sell-offs like those observed in behavioral finance studies. We're literally scared of our own success. She told herself she was being disciplined, patient, selective. But deep down, she knew the truth. She wasn't waiting for a better setup. She was waiting to not feel afraid. The mask of fear doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream, I'm terrified. It whispers reasonable things. Let's wait for more confirmation. This one looks too easy. Something feels off. It dresses up terror as prudence. But here's what fear doesn't want you to know. It's not actually trying to protect your account. It's trying to protect your ego. Daniel Goleman's research on emotional intelligence reveals something fascinating. The amygdala hijack. When we perceive threat, our amygdala floods our system with stress hormones before our rational brain can intervene. In trading, this means we're often in fight or flight mode before we even realize it. Most traders think they're afraid of losing money. Run the numbers. How much does a stopped-out trade actually cost? 1%? 2%? Survivable. What really terrifies us is what that loss might mean. That we're not good enough. That we don't belong here. That everyone will see we're frauds. Fear in trading is rarely about trading. It's about identity. I worked with a female trader who hadn't taken a live trade in 6 months. 6 months. She studied every day, watched the markets, took detailed notes. But when it came time to click, paralysis. We dug deeper. Turns out, her father had lost the family savings day trading in the 90s. Every time she approached the button, she wasn't just risking capital, she was risking becoming him. That's how fear works. It takes a present moment and fills it with past ghosts and future disasters. It turns a simple probability exercise into an existential threat. But here's the paradox that behavioral finance research confirms. Avoiding fear makes it stronger. Every trade you skip to feel safe teaches your nervous system that trading is dangerous. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you reinforce the very pattern you're trying to break. Quick implementation. Create a fear ladder based on cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. Week 1, trade micro lots, so small that loss is meaningless. Week 2, slightly increase size. Week 3, normal size. Track not just P&L, but fear levels, 110, before, during, after each trade. Use a meditation app for 5 minutes before trading to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Watch your fear ratings drop as your nervous system recalibrates. This is exposure therapy meets trading. For global relevance, consider how Asian traders often face similar fear during volatility from China news. Pause here. Take 3 deep breaths. If this section is hitting close to home, you're exactly where you need to be. Fear hates being seen. That's why acknowledgement is the first step to freedom. Professional traders aren't fearless. They're fear-friendly. They feel the butterflies and trade anyway. They know fear is just information, not instruction. It's data about their inner state, not guidance about outer action. The amygdala can't tell the difference between a lion attacking and a stop-loss approaching. To your nervous system, both register as threats. But you're not your nervous system. You're the consciousness that can observe fear without obeying it. One technique that transforms fear: welcome it. Next time you feel that familiar tightness before a trade, say internally, "Hello, fear. Thanks for trying to protect me. I've got this covered." Don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Acknowledge it and act anyway. A Harvard Business School study found that traders who reframed anxiety as excitement improved performance by 22%. Same physiological state, different interpretation. I'm scared became I'm energized. Fear became fuel. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling fear fully and choosing your plan over your panic. The market doesn't care about your fear. It moves regardless. Every minute you spend negotiating with terror is a minute the opportunity passes by. Fear keeps you stuck in analysis while life happens without you. So, what if fear wasn't your enemy? What if it was just a misunderstood friend, trying to keep you safe with outdated information? What if the very trades that scare you most are the ones your edge needs you to take? The mask of fear promises protection, but delivers paralysis. It keeps you safe from failure by keeping you safe from success. It protects you from losses by preventing wins. But once you learn to trade with fear instead of from it, something else appears. Another mask, wearing the costume of success. And this one kills more accounts than fear ever could. Mask 4, the mask of the winner. The notification popped up on his phone. Another winning day. That made 12 in a row. His account was up 40% in 3 weeks. The trading room was buzzing. "What's your secret?" they asked. "Teach us your ways." He leaned back, smiled, and typed his response. "It's all about reading price action. You have to feel the market's rhythm." He believed it too. He'd found the secret sauce, cracked the code. transcended to a new level. 2 weeks later, he was down 60%. Not because the market changed, not because his strategy failed, but because success had put on a mask and convinced him he was invincible. Research by behavioral economist Terence O'Dean shows that traders on winning streaks increase their trading frequency by 70% and their position in sizes by 45%. The result? They give back their gains 3x faster than they made them. The mask of the winner is the most dangerous because it doesn't feel like a mask. It feels like truth. After a winning streak, your brain doesn't whisper doubts. It shouts confirmation. You figured it out. You're special. Rules are for beginners. This phenomenon has a name in neuroscience: the dopamine feedback loop. Each win releases dopamine, which doesn't just make you feel good. It literally rewires your brain to seek more of the same behavior. But here's the catch. It also impairs your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for risk assessment. Watch what happens during a winning streak. Position sizes creep larger. I'm hot, might as well press. Stop losses get tighter. I don't need much room, I know where it's going. Rules become flexible. I'll just take this one, even though it doesn't quite meet criteria. Each win doesn't just add to your account, it adds to your ego. And ego is expensive in the markets. I tracked a trader through his best and worst periods. During drawdowns, he followed his rules religiously, checked every box, respected every stop. But during winning streaks, different person entirely. Overtrading, over-leveraging, overconfident. His wins created more bad habits than his losses ever did. The data backs this up. A study by MIT found that traders were 23% more likely to break their risk management rules after a winning streak than after a losing one. Success literally makes us stupid. Why? Because winning feels like validation, like the universe confirming you're chosen, special. Rules are for beginners. Above the laws that govern ordinary traders. That's the seduction. Not the money, but the meaning we attach to it. Quick implementation. Create a winning streak protocol based on Olympic athlete training cycles. After 3 winning trades in a row, day 1, reduce position size by 25%. Day 2, review your rules and write them out by hand. Day 3, practice in simulation mode only. This isn't punishment, it's periodization. Elite athletes know peak performance requires planned recovery. Install a phone app that tracks your wins and automatically reminds you when to implement the protocol. Gamify humility. Let's get real for a moment. If you've ever felt invincible after a few wins, you're not alone. I've seen professional traders with decades of experience fall for this mask. It's that powerful. The market has a perfect record of humbling those who think they've mastered it, not out of cruelty, but out of mathematics. When you're winning, you're not getting smarter. You're getting lucky enough for your edge to show. But edge and genius are different things. Professional traders know this. They celebrate wins briefly, then return to process. They know today's profit is just variance wearing a smile. Tomorrow it could frown. The market doesn't care about your winning streak anymore than it cared about your losing one. The winner's mask whispers sweet lies. You don't need to journal today. You're crushing it. Skip the analysis. You've got the feel. Rules are training wheels, and you're riding free. Each whisper pulls you further from the discipline that created the wins. Jared Tendler calls this entitlement tilt in his book, The Mental Game of Trading. You subconsciously believe the market owes you continued success, but the market doesn't have a memory. Each trade is independent, regardless of your recent results. Here's the truth. Your best trading comes from humility, not confidence. From respect, not conquest. From process, not pride. The moment you think you've graduated from the basics is the moment the market enrolls you in remedial classes. A fascinating study from the Journal of Finance found that mutual fund managers performed worse in the quarters immediately following awards or recognition. Even professionals fall victim to the winner's mask. I know a trader who keeps a photo on his desk. It's his biggest drawdown statement, right after his best month ever. He looks at it before each session, not to fear, but to remember. Success is temporary. Process is permanent. The market is forever. So next time you catch yourself thinking, I've got this market figured out, pause. That's not wisdom talking. That's the mask of the winner, setting you up for the inevitable fall. Because what follows winning isn't just losing. It's something darker, something that turns traders into their own worst enemies. It's something that makes them forget everything they know about probability and turn trading into a personal vendetta. Ready for the mask that destroys more accounts than all the others combined? The Mask of Revenge. Mask 5. The Mask of Revenge. The loss stung, but it wasn't the money. She'd lost before. This was different. This was personal. She'd done everything right. Perfect setup, perfect entry, perfect management. Then, out of nowhere, a wick. A single candle that spiked just enough to take her stop before reversing exactly where she thought it would. She watched it hit her target. Without her. The market had picked her pocket, stolen her trade, made her look like a fool. Her breathing changed, shallow, quick. Her mouse hand twitched. Without thinking, without checking, without caring, she clicked. Market buy, double size, no stop. She wasn't trading anymore. She was fighting. According to reports from trading communities and behavioral finance research, revenge trading is a primary cause of blown accounts, with numerous cases on forums like Reddit showing it leading to total capital loss in thousands of instances, often occupying a large proportion of failures. One trader lost $60K from revenge on PayPal and FRC stocks, illustrating how ego turns a loss into a vendetta. The Mask of Revenge transforms traders into warriors against probability. It takes a statistical event, a normal loss, and turns it into a declaration of war. It whispers, "The market did this to you. Take back what's yours." But here's what neuroscience reveals. Revenge trading activates the same brain circuits as physical combat. Your body literally prepares for battle. Adrenaline floods your system. Cortisol spikes. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational decision-making, goes offline. You're not thinking anymore. You're surviving. The market didn't do anything. It moved, like it always moves, without knowledge of your position, without concern for your feelings, without personal intent. The market can't steal from you any more than gravity can push you. It simply is. Revenge trading is pain trying to heal itself with more pain. It's your ego attempting to rewrite history with future trades. It never works. Because even if the revenge trade wins, the habit it reinforces will eventually destroy you. I've seen it 1,000 times. The pattern is always the same. Loss happens. Ego bruises, emotion floods, logic vanishes, size doubles, stop disappears, hope becomes strategy, account bleeds. Dr. Denise Scholl, who works with Olympic athletes and hedge fund managers, calls this effective looping. Your emotional brain gets stuck in a cycle, replaying the loss and demanding resolution. But markets don't offer resolution, they offer probability. The revenge trader isn't trying to make money, they're trying to make meaning, to prove the universe isn't random. That skill matters, that they matter. Each click is a desperate attempt to restore order to chaos. But chaos doesn't care about your need for order, and the market doesn't negotiate with emotional terrorists. Quick implementation. Install a revenge breaker based on Navy SEAL box breathing. After any loss over 1%, immediately close your platform. Set a timer for 30 minutes. During this time, 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds hold. Repeat 10 times. Then write a letter to the market as if it were a person. Pour out your anger, then burn or delete it. This isn't woo-woo, it's neurological reset. Only return to trading when you can honestly say, that loss is history. This next trade is independent. Track how many accounts this saves you. Stop right here. If you've ever revenge traded, forgive yourself now. You're not weak, you're human. And humans are wired for retaliation when threatened. But trading isn't combat, even when it feels like it. The fascinating thing about revenge trading, it's not really about the market. Dig deeper, and you'll find it's about every time you felt wronged and couldn't fight back. Every injustice you swallowed, every moment you felt powerless. The market becomes a surrogate battlefield for wars that started long before you ever saw a chart. One trader I worked with discovered her revenge trading connected to workplace bullying. She couldn't fight back at the office, but she could fight the market. Every loss triggered not just recent pain, but ancient wounds. Until she saw the connection, she was trading against ghosts. The market is a mirror, not a monster. It reflects your inner state, but doesn't create it. When you revenge trade, you're not fighting price action. You're fighting the part of you that can't accept powerlessness. That needs to control outcomes. That must be right. Research from the University of Cambridge found that traders who practiced acceptance-based mindfulness reduced revenge trading by 73%, not by fighting the urge, but by acknowledging it without acting. Professional traders don't revenge trade because they've made peace with loss. They know it's not personal, it's not punishment, it's just probability playing out. They feel the sting, acknowledge the disappointment, then return to process. They trade the next setup, not the last scar. Here's what the revenge mask doesn't want you to know. Acceptance is more powerful than retaliation. When you accept the loss fully, without resistance or story, something shifts. The need for revenge dissolves. The next trade becomes just a trade, not a vendetta. The market will take your money, that's guaranteed. The question is, will you let it take your mind too? Will you let a normal loss turn you into an emotional gambler? Will you trade your edge or your pain? Because revenge might feel like strength, but it's really just suffering wearing war paint. But what if the real enemy isn't the market at all? What if the harshest judge, the cruelest critic, the most destructive force in your trading, lives inside your own head? Mask 6, the inner voice. He closed the trade. Small loss, within the plan, normal variance. Should have been forgotten in minutes, but the voice had other plans. You idiot. You always do this. Can't even follow simple rules. Everyone else is making money except you. Maybe you're just not cut out for this. On and on it went. A steady stream of criticism, each word sharper than the last. He didn't notice at first, thought it was just thinking. But when he finally paid attention, really listened, he was horrified. He wouldn't talk to his worst enemy the way he talked to himself. Dr. Brett Steenbarger's research shows that negative self-talk correlates with a 34% decrease in trading performance. But here's the kicker. 91% of traders aren't even aware they're doing it. The inner voice is the mask that never comes off. It's there before you trade, during, and especially after. It comments on everything, judges every decision, amplifies every mistake, minimizes every success. Most traders think they're battling the market. They're not. They're battling the narrator in their head, the one that turns a normal loss into evidence of inadequacy. That transforms a missed trade into proof of failure. That makes every mistake mean something about their worth. This voice isn't random. It's learned, inherited, programmed through years of experiences, often having nothing to do with trading. It's every critical teacher, dismissive parent, harsh coach, rolled into one internal tyrant. Neuroscientist Dr. Ethan Kross found that negative self-talk activates the same pain regions in the brain as physical injury. You're literally hurting yourself with words. I asked a struggling trader to record himself during a session, not the screen, but his self-talk. What he discovered changed everything. The recording revealed a non-stop stream of self-abuse. You're so stupid. You'll never get this. Why do you even try? Over and over, trade after trade. He sat in silence after listening, then said quietly, "I sound exactly like my father." That's when it clicked. He wasn't trading with his own voice. He was trading with an internalized critic from decades ago. Every loss reactivated old shame. Every mistake confirmed ancient beliefs about his inadequacy. Quick implementation. For 1 week, keep a voice log with a twist. Record your self-talk in 3 columns. What I said, who taught me this, what I'd tell my best friend. Use voice to text on your phone for real-time capture. At week's end, calculate your criticism ratio, negative versus constructive comments. Then install a new protocol. Every time you catch negative self-talk, immediately state 3 objective facts about the trade. I followed my entry rules. The stop was at the correct level. This is normal variance. This rewires your neural pathways from criticism to observation. Studies show it takes 21 days to form new neural patterns. Start today. Take a moment, breathe. If that inner critic is loud right now, telling you this is soft or won't work, that's the mask fighting for survival. The inner voice shapes everything. It determines whether you see setups or threats, whether losses teach or torture, whether you trade from confidence or criticism. Your edge doesn't live in your system. It lives in the space between stimulus and response, and that space is governed by the voice. But here's what most don't realize. That harsh inner voice thinks it's helping. It believes criticism creates improvement, that shame drives success, that being hard on yourself prevents complacency. It's wrong. Stanford research proves self-compassion outperforms self-criticism in every measurable way. Dr. Kristen Neff's groundbreaking work shows that self-compassion improves performance by 23%, while self-criticism decreases it by 16%. That's a 39% swing based purely on how you talk to yourself. The professional trader's inner voice sounds different, not soft or indulgent, but fair, firm, constructive. It says things like, "That didn't work. What can I learn? I followed my process. The outcome is just variance. I'm human. Mistakes happen. Back to the plan." This isn't positive thinking, it's neutral thinking. It's speaking to yourself like a coach, not a critic. Like a mentor, not a tormentor. One female trader transformed her results by changing pronouns. Instead of "I'm an idiot," she'd say "you're learning" to herself. This simple shift, talking to herself in second person, reduced emotional intensity by 50% according to University of Michigan research. The market will test you enough. You don't need to add internal torture to external challenge. Your inner voice can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The choice happens in the space between thought and belief. You can't control what thoughts arise, but you can control which ones you feed. So next time you hear that familiar critic start its routine, pause. Don't fight it, don't believe it, just notice it. Say internally, "Thanks for sharing," then return to facts. What actually happened? What can you actually control? What would you tell a friend in this situation? Because the voice that matters most in trading isn't the one calling out levels or reading news. It's the one between your ears. And until you master that conversation, every other edge is compromised. But once you understand all these masks, once you see how they work together to sabotage your success, one final question remains. Who are you without them? Who is the trader underneath all the pretense, all the protection, all the performance? Are you ready to meet them? Mask 7. The Unmasked Gladiator. She sat in front of the screens, same charts, same markets, same volatility. But something fundamental had shifted. Gone was the desperate need to control every tick. Gone was the fear that whispered doom at every setup. Gone was the winner's arrogance and the loser's revenge. The inner critic had quieted to a whisper. The mirror showed clear. She placed a trade. It stopped out. She nodded, made a note, moved on. She placed another. It ran to target. Same nod, same note, same moving on. For the first time in her trading career, she wasn't performing, wasn't proving, wasn't protecting. She was just trading. This is the unmasked gladiator. Not a trader without emotion, but one without identification. Not someone who doesn't feel fear, frustration, or pride, but someone who doesn't become them. The masks haven't disappeared. They've just lost their power to possess. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's research on flow shows that peak performance happens when self-consciousness disappears, when you stop monitoring yourself and start experiencing directly. The unmasked gladiator has entered this state. The journey through the masks isn't about becoming a different person. It's about stopping the act of trying to be someone you're not. It's about trading from who you are, not who you think you need to be. The unmasked gladiator understands something profound. You don't need to be special to trade well. You need to be present. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be honest. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. All the energy spent maintaining masks, fighting reality, protecting ego, that energy becomes available for what matters. Seeing clearly, acting decisively, accepting completely. The gladiator trades not because they need to prove something, but because it's what they do. A longitudinal study of professional traders found that those who scored highest on authentic self-expression metrics had 31% better risk-adjusted returns and 50% longer careers. Being yourself isn't just healthier, it's more profitable. This isn't a destination you reach and plant a flag. It's a practice. Some days the masks creep back. The control freak whispers. The fear freezes. The ego inflates. But now you see them coming. You name them. You smile at their familiar faces, and you choose differently. Quick implementation. Write a trading mission statement from your unmasked self, not goals or strategies, but who you are when you trade. I am someone who executes with discipline and accepts with grace. I am a student of markets and myself. I trade to express my edge, not my emotions. Read this before each session. But here's the advanced part. Create a mask check-in ritual. Before trading, rate yourself 1 to 10 on each mask's presence today. High control need? Maybe trade smaller. Inner critic loud? Extra self-compassion. This isn't weakness, it's advanced self-awareness. Professional athletes do this. Why not professional traders? This is it. the moment where theory becomes practice, where understanding becomes embodiment. Are you ready? The market doesn't care about your masks. It moves whether you're controlling or surrendering, fearful or confident, winning or losing. It offers the same opportunity to everyone. Show up as you are and see what happens. But most can't do that. They need the armor, the pretense, the protection. They need to be the successful trader, the fearless warrior, the market master. They exhaust themselves maintaining an image instead of maintaining discipline. Research from Harvard Business Review shows that covering, hiding aspects of yourself at work reduces performance by 25–30%. In trading, where you are your own boss, this effect is amplified. Every mask costs mental energy that could be spent on edge execution. The unmasked gladiator has given up the performance. They've stopped trying to be impressive and started trying to be effective. They've released the need to be right and embraced the need to be real. They trade not from strength or weakness, but from truth. This changes everything. Losses don't mean failure anymore, just feedback. Wins don't mean superiority, just variance. The market isn't an enemy to conquer or a puzzle to solve. It's a dance partner, sometimes leading, sometimes following, always moving. When you drop the masks, trading becomes sustainable. Not easy, but sustainable. You stop burning energy on pretense and start investing it in process. You stop needing each trade to mean something about your worth and let it just be what it is, a probability playing out. The gladiator enters the arena not to prove their strength, but to practice their craft. Not to avoid wounds, but to engage fully. Not to emerge unmarked, but to emerge improved. They know the real victory isn't in never falling. It's in always standing back up, without the weight of pretense. But here's the twist nobody tells you. Becoming unmasked isn't the end. It's the beginning. Because once you stop performing, you start evolving. Once you stop protecting, you start growing. Once you stop pretending, you start becoming. The eighth mask, the secret one, it's believing you ever need to arrive. The unmasked gladiator knows you're always becoming. Each trade teaches, each day reveals, each moment offers a choice, mask or truth. So here's the final question. Who would you be if you didn't need to be anyone? What would your trading look like if you dropped the act? How would it feel to place a trade without your identity attached to the outcome? That's where mastery lives, not in the perfect strategy or the flawless mindset, but in the simple, radical act of showing up as yourself. No masks, no pretense, no performance. Just you, the market, and the truth of each moment. Because in the end, the greatest edge isn't something you develop. It's something you reveal by removing everything that isn't really you. Take off the mask. So, now you know. It was never about the strategy. Never about finding the perfect setup or timing the exact reversal. It was about the masks you wore, the ones you didn't even know were there, and the ones you clung to so tightly, they began to feel like your real face. You've seen the 7 masks that sabotage your success. The mirror trade, revealing how you project your inner world onto every chart. The mask of control, promising safety while delivering rigidity. The mask of fear, protecting your ego while destroying your edge. The mask of the winner, inflating confidence into arrogance. The mask of revenge, turning statistics into personal vendettas. The inner voice, narrating your worth with someone else's words. And finally, the unmasked gladiator, who you really are beneath it all. But here's what the research confirms. These aren't just trading concepts. They're human patterns. The market didn't create these masks. Life did. Trading just forces you to face them, every day with money on the line. Dr. Ari Kiev, who coached traders at SAC Capital, found that traders who address psychological patterns improve performance by an average of 25% within 90 days. Not from better strategies, from better self-awareness. Every mask you remove doesn't just improve your trading, it improves your life. Because the same patterns that sabotage your trades, sabotage your relationships, your health, your peace. The control that strangles your positions, strangles your joy. The fear that freezes your entries freezes your growth. The revenge that destroys your account destroys your well-being. So, this isn't really about trading. It's about using trading as a mirror for transformation. It's about letting the market teach you who you are when the pressure's on. It's about discovering that your greatest edge isn't in your analysis, but in your awareness, built on a foundation of strategy and amplified by psychology. Take what resonated and live it, not just in front of the charts, but everywhere. Notice when control creeps in, Feel when fear freezes you. Catch the inner critic mid-sentence. Watch revenge rise and choose differently. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening behind your trades, I need you to do something. Drop a comment below and complete this sentence. The mask I've been wearing is... Share which one hit you hardest. Your honesty might be exactly what another trader needs to see. And here's my challenge. For the next 7 days, pick one mask to focus on. Use the quick implementation for that mask religiously. Document what changes. Share your results with our community. If you know someone who's still fighting the wrong battle, still thinking they need a better strategy when they really need a mirror, share this with them. Let's build a community where we trade from truth, not trauma, where we support each other in removing masks, not perfecting them. Subscribe to Trading Psychology Stick and hit the notification bell. But more importantly, download the free 7 Masks workbook in the description. It contains all the exercises, plus a 30-day transformation protocol based on cognitive behavioral therapy principles. Next week, we're diving into the 5 states of trading flow, based on new research from performance psychology. You'll learn how to access peak performance on command, not by chance. Remember this, the market doesn't test your system. It tests who you become under pressure. And every time you choose awareness over reaction, every time you trade from truth instead of masks, you win. Not just the trade, but the deeper game, the one that actually matters. The game of becoming who you really are. Take off the mask. We're trading from here now. Welcome to the arena.